I thought I was enough, Zhang Linghe collapses, after witnessing Bailu and Dylan together. The sound of shattering glass echoed louder than Zhang Linghe's heartbreak that night. No one expected the golden couple, Zhang Linghe and Bailu, to falter, not after everything they had survived together. But under the harsh glare of the hotel hallway lights, everything changed. He had come unannounced, intending to surprise her with tickets for a trip she had always dreamed about. What he found instead would fracture him to his core. The unforgettable sight. Zhang Linghe stood frozen just beyond the slightly ajar hotel room door. Inside, Bailu's voice floated softly, gentle, familiar, the kind of tone she only reserved for someone who knew her deeply. But it wasn't for him. Sitting on the edge of the bed, dressed in a plain grey hoodie, was Dylan Wang. His back was turned, but Zhang didn't need to see his face. He knew the silhouette too well. Then came the moment Zhang could never erase. Bailu walked toward Dylan and placed her hand on his knee. Dylan looked up at her and smiled, the kind of smile Zhang hadn't seen on Bailu's face in months. And then she hugged him. Long, close. With eyes shut. The collapse. I thought I was enough. Zhang Linghe screamed, staggering backward as the door slammed open with the force of his rage. The startled pair sprang apart, and Bailu's gasp could have torn a hole through the silence. Dylan immediately stood, his stance defensive but calm. Zhang Linghe, it's not what you think, Bailu began, but he didn't let her finish. I gave you everything. I gave you my life, he choked out, stumbling down the hallway as hotel staff watched helplessly. His chest heaved, knees buckling. A second later, he collapsed to the floor, clutching his chest, tears streaming down his face. Paramedics were called. And the internet exploded. Social media frenzy. Within minutes, someone from the hotel had leaked security footage of Zhang Linghe being wheeled out on a stretcher, Bailu crying beside him, Dylan trailing behind with clenched fists. Hashtags trended globally. Hashtag Zhang Linghe heartbreak. Hashtag Dylan and Bailu. Hashtag is this the end? Hashtag he thought he was enough. Fans were split, some defended Bailu, others demanded answers. But everyone agreed, something irreversible had happened that night. A history of unresolved tension. Zhang Linghe and Bailu's love story had been one of resilience. From secret dates to defying management's warnings, they had built a partnership that seemed unbreakable. But those closest to them noticed changes. The distance. The silence between interviews. The absence from each other's social media. Then came the re-entry of Dylan Wang. Though married to Shen Yu, Dylan's past with Bailu was no secret. They had shared a short-lived but passionate relationship years ago, one that ended abruptly and without closure. Rumors always swirled that unresolved feelings lingered. And Zhang Linghe had always known that. The hospital scene. At the hospital, Bailu paced the waiting area like a ghost. She had been crying so hard her voice was gone. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing, but she didn't answer anyone, not even Shen Yu, who had reportedly called repeatedly after watching the leaked footage online. Dylan sat across the hallway, his expression unreadable, but his eyes never left Bailu. When a nurse finally emerged, Bailu rushed forward. He's okay, the nurse assured. But he's refusing to see anyone. Bailu turned pale. A private moment captured. Later that night, Zhang Linghe posted a cryptic message on Weibo. What hurts isn't that you loved someone else. It's that I kept fighting for a place you had already given away. The post garnered over 6 million likes in 2 hours. Meanwhile, Dylan Wang was spotted leaving the hospital quietly, his car surrounded by reporters asking the same question: was there more to his relationship with Bailu than friendship? He didn't respond. Backstage leaks and the missing recording. A day later, a leaked voice memo from a studio assistant changed everything. In the memo, Bailu could be heard saying, "I still love him. But I don't know how to let Zhang go. He's never done anything wrong. I never stopped loving Dylan. The internet broke. Zhang Linghe hadn't spoken publicly since the collapse, but insiders claimed he had gone off-grid, cancelling all public appearances, and even cutting off contact with his management team. Shen Yu's silence. Perhaps the most glaring silence came from Shen Yu, Dylan Wang's wife. Known for her candid interviews and warm online presence, Shen Yu had gone completely quiet. Sources close to her claimed she had left the house they shared with Dylan the night the scandal broke. No one has seen her since. Fans flooded her last post with comments like, "You deserved better. Leave him. She never left his heart. Shen Yu, we love you." The press conference that broke hearts. 4 days later, Zhang Linghe appeared at a surprise press conference, his eyes swollen, his demeanor haunted. "I won't be answering any questions," he said, voice trembling. "I just wanted to say something I should have said before." He took a deep breath and looked directly into the cameras. "To Bailu. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I kept asking you to prove your love when you were already too tired to try. But I need to say this now because I don't think I'll ever get the chance again. You meant the world to me. You were my forever. I just wasn't yours." With that, he turned and walked away, ignoring the reporters who shouted after him. Dylan's statement. Later that night, Dylan Wang finally spoke via a short video posted to his Instagram. "I never intended to cause pain," he began. "I didn't go to Bailu that night to rekindle anything. We've always had unfinished conversations, but I didn't expect it to hurt so many people. To Shen Yu, to Zhang Linghe, I am deeply sorry." He paused. "I don't know what comes next. But I will be honest from now on." The video ended with no music. Just silence. Bailu's final word. On the 7th day after the incident, Bailu finally released a letter addressed to both Zhang Linghe and Dylan Wang. It read, "To Zhang Linghe. You gave me love in its purest form. But I kept looking back, chasing memories instead of holding on to the present. I broke you. And I'll never forgive myself. To Dylan. You and I were a story unfinished. And maybe it was always going to end in hurt. To everyone else. I'm stepping away. I need to remember who I am outside of this chaos." She has since deleted all her posts. Where things stand now. Zhang Linghe is reportedly abroad, seeking recovery away from media. Dylan Wang has paused filming his upcoming drama, issuing a formal apology to his production team. Bailu has deactivated all social media. Shen Yu remains unreachable. Fans are left with questions. Was this inevitable? Can hearts heal after this much damage? And most importantly, will love return to any of them again? The aftershock. The hospital room was eerily quiet except for the steady beep of the heart monitor. Zhang Linghe lay pale and still, his chest rising and falling slowly. A thin line of tears traced down the side of his face, not from physical pain, but the kind that splits you open from the inside. Every time he blinked, he saw her, Bailu, wrapped in Dylan's arms like she belonged there. And that was what broke him. Outside the glass doors, Bailu sat hunched over on the waiting bench, fingers twisted in anguish. She had tried to get in. Security wouldn't let her. Zhang had given explicit instructions, no visitors. Especially her. Her lips trembled as she whispered to herself, "Please, just let me explain." She didn't even know Dylan was walking up behind her until his shadow fell over her lap. "You shouldn't be here," he said quietly. She looked up, startled. "And you should." "I didn't come for him," Dylan replied coldly. "I came for you." Flashback, the moment before it broke. Back in the hotel room, just before Zhang entered, Bailu had just confessed something she hadn't admitted in years. I still wonder, she had told Dylan, eyes glossy, voice barely audible. I wonder who I would have become if I hadn't walked away from you. Dylan didn't answer with words. He simply reached out and held her hand. That was the exact moment Zhang had walked in. Now, in the sterile hospital corridor, Dylan and Bailu sat side by side again, but nothing felt the same. I didn't kiss you, she whispered to him, looking ashamed. You didn't need to, Dylan replied. You held my hand like you were never meant to let go. Inside Zhang Linghe's mind. Inside the hospital room, Zhang stared at the ceiling tiles like they were trying to offer him peace. But his mind replayed the betrayal on loop. It wasn't the hug. It wasn't the hand-holding. It was her face. The way she smiled at Dylan. A softness he hadn't seen in months. That's what killed him. He remembered the day he gave her the key to his house. The night he wrote her name in the condensation of his bathroom mirror. Every future plan they had mapped out over ramen in bed. All gone. Rewritten in the span of one glance. The decision. Later that evening, as the nurse checked his for, Zhang looked at her and said calmly, I want to discharge myself. But sir, you collapsed. I'd rather collapse at home than stay here and hope she walks through that door. The nurse hesitated, then nodded. As Zhang Linghe sat up, swinging his legs over the edge of the bed, his voice broke one last time. Tell her. I don't hate her. I just can't love someone who keeps choosing someone else.